The glow of her phone screen was the only light in Zara Johnson's dim Studio City apartment, casting blue shadows across empty wine bottles and scattered throw pillows. Outside, Los Angeles hummed its Thursday night symphony, distant sirens, bass from a neighbor's party, the perpetual rush of the 101 freeway carrying people toward their destinations. Her thumb hovered over the send button, wine bold and reckless. Come get me. 2 seconds after she hit send, panic flooded her system. Her boss. She just texted her boss. At 11:47 p.m. While drunk. Across the city in a penthouse overlooking Century City, Min-jun Park stood by floor-to-ceiling windows, scotch in hand, when his phone lit up. He read the message once. Twice. His jaw tightened as something shifted in his chest, something he'd kept locked down for 11 months. He grabbed his keys. The Aston Martin cut through LA traffic like a knife. Wilshire to Highland. Highland to Moorpark. Every red light an eternity. His knuckles were white on the steering wheel. 23 minutes later, he stood outside her door. The knock was firm. Controlled. Everything he wasn't feeling. Zara's heart stopped. She knew that knock. Measured, authoritative, unmistakable. She stumbled to the door in flannel pajama shorts and an oversized Howard University t-shirt, her natural curls wild around her face. She opened the door. Min-jun Park filled the doorway in a black dress shirt rolled to his forearms, his dark eyes intense and unreadable. For 3 seconds neither of them breathed. You texted, he said, his voice low, that slight Korean accent making her name sound like a promise. I came. Where are you watching from? Would you show up for someone at midnight if they sent that text? Zara Johnson had perfected the art of being invisible. At Park Logistics' sleek downtown LA offices, she moved through glass corridors like a whisper, arriving early, leaving late, anticipating needs before they were spoken. For 11 months, she'd been the executive assistant everyone relied on and nobody truly saw. Except she was tired of being invisible to the one person whose attention she craved. Monday morning, 6:47 a.m. Zara swiped her badge at the empty lobby, her heels clicking against imported marble as she rode the elevator to the 23rd floor. Through the windows, Los Angeles stretched toward the Pacific, palm trees silhouetted against a rose-gold sky. The city had terrified her when she'd first arrived from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, too big, too fast, too bright. Now 2 years in she'd learned to love its chaos, even if she still felt like an outsider looking in. She set her bag down at her desk outside Min-jun's office, the space she'd claimed and organized with quiet precision. African violet on the corner, thriving despite the fluorescent lights. Wireless keyboard because the click of keys soothed her anxiety. Framed photo of her mom at their church's Juneteenth celebration, her mother's proud smile reminding Zara why she'd taken the risk of moving west. Coffee first. Always coffee first. She started the expensive Italian espresso machine Min-jun had installed, knowing exactly how he took it. Americano, double shot, no sugar. She'd memorized it during her first week, along with his schedule, his preferred lunch spots, the micro-expression that meant a meeting had gone badly and he needed 20 minutes alone. Some might call it observant. Zara called it survival, and maybe, secretly, devotion. You're early again. His voice sent electricity down her spine. Min-jun Park stood in the doorway of his office, and Zara's breath caught like it did every single morning. At 41, he had the kind of presence that made rooms go quiet, 6 feet of controlled power in a charcoal Tom Ford suit, his black hair styled back, his angular features carved from some Korean sculpture she'd seen once at LACMA. His eyes were dark and sharp, missing nothing. Good morning, Mr. Park. She kept her voice steady, professional, giving nothing away. Your coffee's almost ready. Your 8 o'clock with the Harbor Commission moved to 8:30, they're running behind on the port expansion review. And your mother called the office line at 6:15. A flicker of amusement crossed his face. Let me guess. She wants to know if I'm eating properly. She wants to know if you've met any nice Korean girls lately. Zara allowed herself the smallest smile, handing him the coffee in his preferred mug. I told her you were very busy with quarterly reports. My mother thinks quarterly reports are a conspiracy to keep me single. He accepted the coffee and their fingers brushed for half a second. Zara felt it in her knees. Thank you, Zara. I don't know how this office functioned before you. Before you, I didn't know I could want someone this much, she thought. Just doing my job, sir, she said aloud. He held her gaze a moment longer than necessary, or was she imagining it? Then disappeared into his office. Zara exhaled and sank into her chair, pressing cool fingers to her warm cheeks. 11 months. 11 months of this exquisite torture. The morning unfolded in its familiar rhythm. Zara fielded calls, managed schedules, and prepared briefing documents for Min-jun's meeting with the shipping contractors. Park Logistics was one of LA's largest distribution companies, handling everything from tech imports to high-end automotive parts. On paper, it was perfectly legitimate, profitable, well-connected, frequently featured in Los Angeles Business Journal. But Zara wasn't naive. She'd noticed things over the past year. Men who visited Min-jun's office late at night, conversations conducted in rapid Korean behind closed doors. The way certain shipments were flagged with codes she didn't understand. The security detail that seemed excessive for a logistics company. The deference people showed him that went beyond respect into something closer to fear. Her friend Keisha, visiting from Chicago, had put it bluntly over drinks 2 months ago. "Girl, your boss is either CIA or connected. Nobody runs an operation that's smooth in this city without connections." Zara had laughed it off. But she'd wondered. She wondered more when Min-jun returned from meetings with scraped knuckles he didn't explain. When his phone rang at 2 a.m. and his voice went cold and commanding in Korean. When she'd accidentally walked into his office early one morning to find him and 2 dangerous-looking men studying a map of the Port District. He'd looked up at her, his expression unreadable. "Zara, I didn't expect you this early." "I'm sorry, Mr. Park. I'll come back." "No, it's fine. Gentlemen, we're done here." The men had left with curt nods, and Min-jun had smiled at her like nothing was wrong. Coffee would be wonderful. She'd made his coffee with shaking hands. But she'd stayed. Because whatever Min-jun Park was involved in, legal, illegal, somewhere in the gray space between, she'd seen how he treated people. Fair wages. Generous benefits. He'd personally paid for the warehouse manager's daughter's cancer treatment. He remembered birthdays. He led with honor, even if his business walked shadowed paths. And God help her, she was falling for him anyway. By 3 o'clock, Zara needed air. She escaped to the break room, pulling out her lunch, leftover oxtail and rice her mom had FedExed in a care package from Iowa, because Sharon Johnson didn't trust that California had real food. The scent of allspice and thyme made her homesick. "That smells amazing," said Marcus from accounting, poking his head in. "What is that?" "My mom's oxtail. She's convinced I'm starving out here." "Black moms, man." Marcus grinned. He was one of 3 other black employees in the 100-person company, and they bonded over code switching and navigating professional spaces that didn't always feel like they were built for them. "Hey, we're getting drinks in K-Town Friday if you want to come." Actual human interaction outside these walls. Zara hesitated. Her default answer to social invitations was always no. Too anxious, too tired, too comfortable at home with a book and her French press. But she thought about how invisible she'd felt lately. How small her world had become. Work, home, occasional FaceTime calls to Cedar Rapids. Romance novels that let her live vicariously through braver women. "Maybe," she said, which felt revolutionary. "I'll text you the details. And Zara? You should come out more. You're cool people." After he left, Zara sat with her lunch and wondered when she'd become someone who needed permission to have a life. Her phone buzzed. A text from Keisha. "Guess who's flying to LA Thursday for a work conference?" "Me bitch. Let's tear up that city." "And by tear up I mean eat good food and maybe go dancing?" Zara's heart lifted. Keisha had been her roommate at Howard, the extrovert to her introvert, the bold to her careful. They'd maintained their friendship across time zones through memes and voice notes and Keisha's annual visits that always pushed Zara slightly outside her comfort zone. "Yes. When do you land?" "Thursday 6 p.m. Clear your schedule. We're eating everything." Zara smiled, already feeling a spark of anticipation. Maybe what she needed was exactly this. Her best friend, good food, and a reminder that she was more than just Min-jun Park's exceptionally competent assistant. Even if her heart whispered that being his assistant was the only way she got to be close to him at all. Thursday arrived in a blur of meetings, contract negotiations, and Zara defusing a minor crisis with a shipping delay by personally calling the harbor master, whose daughter she'd helped get a summer internship. At 5:45 she was packing her bag when Min-jun emerged from his office, jacket slung over his shoulder, looking unfairly good in the golden hour light streaming through the windows. "Leaving on time? Are you feeling well?" His tone was teasing warm. "My best friend's flying in from Chicago. I'm picking her up." "From Howard." He remembered. Of course he remembered. Min-jun forgot nothing. "Tell her welcome to LA. And Zara? Take tomorrow off. You've earned it." "I have 15 things scheduled for you tomorrow. I'll manage for one day." He smiled, and it transformed his face from intimidating to devastating. Have fun. Be young. You work too hard. Says the man who's here until 9 every night, she thought, but she just nodded. Thank you, Mr. Park. Min-jun, he said quietly. When it's just us, you can call me Min-jun. Her pulse thundered. Have a good evening, Min-jun. He held her gaze for 1, 2, 3 beats, and she saw something flicker there, something that looked like longing before he shuttered it. You too, Zara? She floated to her car. LAX arrivals was chaos personified, but then Keisha burst through the doors in a bright yellow jumpsuit and box braids, and suddenly everything was right with the world. Zara. She crushed her in a hug that smelled like cocoa butter and jasmine perfume. Look at you. LA's got you looking good. That glow is not just melanin spill. There's nothing to spill. But Zara was grinning, the anxiety that lived constant in her chest loosening slightly. We'll see about that. Now take me somewhere with good food because that airplane snack box was a hate crime. They ended up at Dullen's Soul Food Kitchen in Crenshaw, cramming into a booth under photos of black LA legends, the air thick with hot sauce and comfort. Zara ordered fried chicken and mac and cheese. Keisha got oxtails with candied yams. Okay, this is what I'm talking about, Keisha said around a mouthful of food. This tastes like your mama made it. Which reminds me, how is Miss Sharon? Calling me every Sunday after church to make sure I'm eating vegetables and meeting quality men. Her words. And are you? Meeting quality men. Zara pushed mac and cheese around her plate. I'm busy. You're hiding. Keisha's voice gentled. Z, I love you, but you didn't move across the country to just work and go home. You're 24. You should be living. I am living. Baby. When's the last time you went on a date? Flirted? Took a risk? Zara thought about Min-jun saying her name in his office, the brush of his fingers, the way he'd noticed she took her coffee with oat milk and always made sure it was stocked. It's complicated, she whispered. Keisha's eyes went sharp. Oh shit. There is someone. Tell me everything right now. So Zara did. In careful, halting words, she confessed the crush she'd been nursing for 11 months. How Min-jun was brilliant and commanding and kind. How he remembered details about her life. How he made her feel seen in a way no one else ever had. How it was impossible and inappropriate and completely hopeless. But also, she added, I think he might be involved in organized crime? Maybe? Keisha choked on her sweet tea. What? It's just speculation. But there are signs. And honestly, it doesn't change how I feel, which probably means I need therapy. Or, Keisha said slowly, it means you're finally letting yourself want something. Even if it's scary. Even if it's complicated. She reached across the table, squeezing Zara's hand. You've spent your whole life playing it safe, being the good girl, staying small so people wouldn't see you and judge you and decide you weren't enough. But Z? You're more than enough. You deserve to be wanted back. Tears pricked Zara's eyes. He's my boss. It's a power dynamic nightmare. And he's 17 years older and probably sees me as just his competent assistant. Or he's been just as stuck as you are, being professional, keeping distance, waiting for a sign that it's safe to cross that line. Keisha's smile turned mischievous. Sometimes the universe needs a little push. Sometimes you gotta take the risk. I can't just walk into his office and confess my feelings. Not saying you should. But there are other ways to make your interest known. Wine helps. They both laughed, and the conversation shifted to Keisha's new job, mutual friends, the latest drama in their Howard group chat. But the seed had been planted. Sometimes you gotta take the risk. Back at Zara's Studio City apartment, a cozy one-bedroom she decorated with thrifted furniture and plants she talked to, they opened a bottle of rose and queued up when Harry met Sally. I'm just saying, Keisha announced, pouring their third glass. Meg Ryan's orgasm scene? Revolutionary. Women faking it for decades suddenly given permission to just be honest about what feels good. You're wine-drunk and philosophical. I'm wine-buzzed and correct. Keisha sprawled across the couch, her braids fanning across a throw pillow. And speaking of being honest about what feels good, text him. Text who? Your Mafia boss. Your sexy Korean crime lord. Your impossible crush. Text him something. Anything. Plant a seed. Absolutely not. Coward. Practical. But Zara's phone was right there, and the wine was making her brave, and she'd spent 11 months being invisible and appropriate and so careful. Her phone buzzed. A text from Min-jun. Working late on the harbor contracts. Don't check your email tonight, it can wait until Monday. Enjoy your friend. Her heart did a stupid flip. Oh my God, is that him? Let me see. Keisha lunged for the phone but Zara held it away, laughing. It's just work stuff. It's 11:30 on a Thursday. That's not work stuff, that's, I'm thinking about you, stuff dressed up as professional courtesy. Keisha's eyes gleamed. Text him back. Something casual but open-ended. No. Yes. Keisha. Zara Johnson, I have known you for 6 years. You are brilliant and beautiful and so scared of your own power that you've made yourself small on purpose. But he already sees you. So let him see you wanting him back. What's the worst that happens? I get fired? He's clearly into you. Men don't text their assistants at 11:30 just to tell them not to check email. He's creating an excuse to message you. Keisha softened her voice. Take the leap, babe. I'll be right here to catch you if you fall. The wine hummed in Zara's blood. The apartment was warm and safe. Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal were arguing on screen about whether men and women could be friends. And suddenly, recklessly, Zara wanted to know what would happen if she stopped playing it safe. She opened her texts. Come get me, she typed. Her thumb hovered over send. Do it, Keisha whispered. Zara hit send before she could overthink it. The message delivered. Read receipt appeared instantly. Oh my God. Her stomach dropped into her feet. Oh my God, what did I just do? You just changed your life, Keisha said, grinning. That's what you did. Zara stared at her phone, watching the 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again. Then they vanished. Panic flooded her system. She typed frantically. That was my friend, she grabbed my phone. Sorry, ignore that. Please pretend that didn't happen. I'm so sorry, Mr. Park. She sent them rapid fire, then buried her face in a pillow and groaned. What did you do? Keisha demanded. I panicked. I sent like 4 follow-up messages explaining it away. No. Zara's phone stayed silent. 5 minutes. 10. 15. See, she said miserably. I ruined everything. He probably thinks I'm unprofessional and inappropriate and... A knock at her door made them both jump. They stared at each other. No, Zara whispered. Yes, Keisha breathed. Another knock. Firm. Deliberate. The kind of knock that said the person on the other side wasn't leaving. Go, Keisha hissed, shoving her toward the door. Go. Zara stood on shaking legs, her wine-brave recklessness evaporating into pure terror. She was in flannel pajama shorts and an old Howard t-shirt. Her curls were a wild halo. She was barefoot and tipsy and completely unprepared. She opened the door. Min-jun Park stood in her doorway and the air left her lungs. He was still in his work clothes, black dress shirt untucked, sleeves rolled to expose forearms that shouldn't be as attractive as they were. His hair was slightly disheveled like he'd been running his hands through it. His dark eyes were intense and fixed entirely on her. You texted, he said, his voice low and dangerous and devastating. I came. Behind her, Zara heard Keisha whisper, holy shit. And Zara's carefully constructed, invisible life shattered into 1,000 beautiful pieces. Time crystallized. Zara was aware of everything at once. The bass beat still thumping from her neighbor's apartment, the way Min-jun's presence seemed to fill her entire doorway, the fact that she was absolutely not dressed for whatever this moment was. Mr. Park? Her voice came out barely above a whisper. You sent 4 more texts. His accent was slightly more pronounced, the way it got when he was tired or stressed or, apparently, standing outside his assistant's apartment at midnight. Explaining it away. Apologizing. Ah yes. I'm so sorry, my friend. She... Is your friend the one who wanted me to come get you? His eyes hadn't left hers. Or was that you, Zara? Her name in his mouth felt like a match striking. Behind her, Keisha cleared her throat. I'm gonna go to the bedroom. Nice to meet you, Mr. Park. Zara's told me absolutely nothing about you. She disappeared down the hall with her wine glass, closing the door with an audible click. Silence expanded between them. I had wine, Zara said finally. I wasn't thinking clearly. Had wine, he repeated. So you're drunk. Tipsy. Maybe. A little. His jaw tightened. For a moment she thought he'd leave, turn around, walk away, and Monday morning would be excruciatingly awkward and she'd have to find a new job and move to a different city and change her name. Instead he stepped forward. Into her apartment. Close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. How much have you had to drink? His voice was careful, controlled. 3 glasses? Maybe 4. I'm coherent. I'm just brave enough to say what I've been feeling for 11 months. I'm sorry. Stop apologizing. He dragged a hand through his hair, and she realized with a jolt that he seemed nervous. Min-jun Park, who commanded rooms and made grown men stammer, was nervous in her apartment. Do you have any idea what I thought when I got that text? That your assistant is wildly inappropriate? That maybe, finally, you were giving me permission. The floor dropped out from under her. Permission? She echoed. He moved closer. She could smell his cologne, cedar and something darker, bergamot maybe, and the faint scent of coffee that clung to him always. I noticed you during your interview, he said quietly. You walked into my office in that navy dress and you were clearly terrified, but you met my eyes and answered every question honestly. You didn't flirt or defer or do any of the things people usually do when they want something from me. You were just yourself. Genuine. Smart. Beautiful. Zara's heart was a war drum in her chest. I wanted to ask you to dinner that day, he continued, before you even started working for me. But I didn't because I'm your boss and that would have been inappropriate, and I've spent 17 years building a business based on honor and respect, and asking out someone who would work for me violated both of those things. Min-jun. So I stayed professional. I kept distance. I told myself it was just attraction, that it would fade, that I was too old for you anyway and you deserved someone who didn't carry the weight I carry. His voice roughened. But then you started bringing me coffee exactly how I like it. And you learned my mother's schedule so you could prepare me for her calls. And you look at me sometimes when you think I'm not paying attention, and Zara, I'm always paying attention to you. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only stare at him as 11 months of careful professionalism unraveled between them. You blush when I say your name, he said softly. Did you know that? Your cheeks go pink and you look away, and it takes everything in me not to reach across my desk and... He stopped himself. But I'm your boss. The power dynamic is too uneven. You could never really say no to me, so I couldn't ask. I would have said yes, she whispered. From day one. I would have said yes. His eyes darkened. You're drunk. I'm brave enough to tell you the truth. Her hands were shaking. She balled them into fists. I've had a crush on you since week 2. When you asked how my mom was doing after I mentioned she had the flu, and you sent her flowers even though you'd never met her. I fell a little bit in love with you then. Zara? And I've spent 11 months being the perfect assistant because it was the only way I got to be close to you. Making your coffee and managing your schedule and learning that you take your meetings better after you've had a morning run and that you prefer Korean barbecue when you're stressed. I've memorized you, Min-jun. Every detail. Because I couldn't have you, so I settled for just being useful to you. Is that what you think? He moved closer still until she had to crane her neck back. That you're just useful to me? I don't know what I am to you. You're the first person I think about in the morning, he said, his voice dropping to something raw and honest. When I wake up at 5 a.m. to run, I'm already thinking about seeing you at the office. About how you'll have my coffee ready and you'll have already handled whatever crisis emails came in overnight. You're the reason I stay late, because you stay late and I get an extra hour of your presence. You're what I look forward to. Tears burned in her eyes. Then why didn't you say something? Because you deserve better than this. He gestured vaguely and she realized he meant himself. Better than a man who's 17 years older and runs a business that operates in shadows. Better than someone who has enemies and makes decisions that keep him up at night. You're good, Zara. Pure. You should be with someone who can give you a simple life. I don't want simple. The words burst out of her. I want you. Complicated and older and whatever shadows you're carrying. I see you, Min-jun. All of you. And I'm not afraid. You should be. But I'm not. They stared at each other, the air between them electric and combustible. You're drunk, he said again, but this time it sounded like a plea. Like he was trying to convince himself. Ask me again when I'm sober, she challenged. Ask me tomorrow in daylight when I've had coffee and I'm thinking clearly. Ask me if I meant it. And will you? Mean it? Yes. The word hung between them, a promise and a confession. Min-jun's control snapped. He closed the distance between them, his hands coming up to frame her face, and then his lips were on hers and thought became impossible. The kiss was everything and nothing like Zara had imagined in her secret late-night fantasies. It was careful at first, Min-jun testing, asking permission with the gentle pressure of his mouth against hers. But when she gasped and leaned into him, her hands fisting in his shirt, the kiss deepened into something that felt like 11 months of restraint finally breaking. He tasted like coffee and scotch and something indefinably him. His hands slid from her face to her jaw, her neck, the gesture both possessive and reverent. She'd been kissed before, but never like this, never like she was something precious and necessary all at once. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, he rested his forehead against hers. You're drunk? he murmured again, but this time there was wonder in his voice. I'm sober enough to know this is real. She tilted her face up to meet his eyes. I've wanted this for so long. Zara. Her name was rough in his throat. I can't, we shouldn't, but his thumbs were stroking her jawline in a way that contradicted every word. I know. She did know. She was drunk, tipsy, and overwhelmed, and this was her boss, her inappropriate older boss who ran a business with shadows she didn't fully understand. Tomorrow would be complicated. But tonight, in this moment, she just wanted to be honest. I know it's messy. I know there are rules we're breaking. But Min-jun, I've spent my whole life being careful and appropriate and invisible. And I'm so tired of it. Something shifted in his expression, softening, darkening. You're not invisible. You've never been invisible to me. Then see me, she whispered. See me wanting you. See me choosing you even if it's reckless. He studied her face like he was memorizing every detail. Then, with visible effort, he stepped back, putting space between them. You need water, he said. And food. And sleep. Disappointment crashed through her. You're leaving. No. His smile was slight but genuine. I'm taking care of you. Because you've had wine and you're not making the best decisions, and I won't be the man who takes advantage of that. But I'm not leaving. Not tonight. The care in his voice made her chest ache. Okay, she said softly. Where's your kitchen? She gestured mutely, and he moved with confident ease through her small apartment, finding glasses, filling one with water, opening her refrigerator. You have ingredients, he noted with approval. Eggs, rice, kimchi, this is good quality. Where did you get it? Korean grocery store in K-Town. I've been teaching myself to cook Korean food. She flushed. I wanted to understand your culture better. His hands stilled on the refrigerator door. When he turned to look at her, his expression was unguarded, vulnerable in a way she'd never seen. Drink this water, he said gently, handing her the glass. All of it. Then we're going to talk. She obeyed, draining the glass while he moved efficiently through her kitchen. Within minutes, the apartment filled with the sound of sizzling and the scent of sesame oil. He was making fried rice, she realized, the kind of simple, comforting food that soaked up alcohol and settled stomachs. Keisha's bedroom door remained firmly shut, though Zara could imagine her friend with her ear pressed against it, barely breathing, living for this drama. Min-jun worked with the casual competence of someone who'd grown up cooking in a family kitchen, and Zara found herself mesmerized by the domesticity of it. This powerful man making her drunk food at midnight in her tiny apartment. Your mother taught you to cook, she guessed. My mother, my grandmother, my sisters. In my family everyone cooks. It's how we show love. He glanced at her over his shoulder. Sit. You're swaying. She sank onto one of her mismatched kitchen chairs, watching him plate fried rice with practiced ease. He set it in front of her with chopsticks and a fork. Eat, he commanded gently. The first bite was perfect, savory and rich with just enough heat from the kimchi. Her eyes closed in appreciation. Good, he asked. Amazing. He sat across from her with his own plate, and for a few minutes they ate in comfortable silence. Zara felt the wine haze starting to clear, replaced by acute awareness of how surreal this moment was. Her boss. In her apartment. Having kissed her. Making her food. This is actually happening, she said aloud. Yes. You came when I texted. Yes. Why? He set down his chopsticks, meeting her eyes across the small table. Because for 11 months I've been professional and appropriate and everything I'm supposed to be. I've kept distance. I've treated you as my assistant and nothing more, even when I wanted to know everything about you, what you read, what makes you laugh, what you dream about when you let yourself dream big. And then you sent that text and I thought, maybe she feels this too. I do, she said. I feel it too. All of it. But Zara, you need to understand what you'd be choosing if we do this. His voice went serious. I'm not just older, though that's already complicated. My business, Park Logistics, it's legitimate on the surface. But there are parts of it that exist in gray areas. My family has been involved in certain operations for 3 generations going back to Korea. Shipping, ports, protection, influence. We operate within the law mostly, but we also operate within understandings. You're telling me you're in organized crime. I'm telling you my family has connections that carry obligations. That there are people who see me as a resource or a threat. That getting close to me makes you a target for leverage. He leaned forward. I've kept you at distance partly for professionalism, but also for your safety. Anyone who matters to me becomes vulnerable. Zara processed this, the wine clearing enough for her to think. She'd suspected. The late-night meetings, the deference, the security that seemed excessive. But having it confirmed was different. "Are you trying to scare me away?" she asked. "I'm trying to be honest with you. To give you a choice with full information." "Okay." She took a breath. "Then here's my honest answer. I'm 24 years old and I've spent my entire life being safe. I went to a good college, got a respectable job, lived small because I was afraid of taking up too much space, afraid people would judge me or hurt me or decide I wasn't worth the risk. But Min-jun, living safe made me lonely. It made me invisible." She reached across the table, covering his hand with hers. "You see me? You've seen me from the beginning. And yes, there are risks. Yes, this is complicated and you're my boss and there's an age gap and apparently criminal elements I don't fully understand yet. But I would rather be seen by you, risks and all, than invisible and safe." His hand turned under hers, lacing their fingers together. "You're sure?" "I'm sure. This isn't the wine talking. The wine made me brave enough to text you. But this, what I'm feeling, I felt it sober for 11 months. He was quiet for a long moment, studying their joined hands. Then he raised her knuckles to his lips, pressing a kiss there that felt like a vow. "Then we do this carefully," he said. "With rules. At work we stay professional, we have to, or it undermines your credibility and mine. But outside of work we can be real. We take our time. We learn each other. And if at any point you want to step back, you do. No consequences, no pressure. Okay? And Zara? You tell me if anyone, threatens you or makes you uncomfortable because of me. I have resources. I can protect what's mine." The possessiveness in his voice shouldn't have been attractive. But it was. "What's yours?" she echoed. His smile was slow, devastating. "If you'll have me, I'll have you." They finished eating, the conversation shifting to easier topics. How she'd found this apartment, whether she missed Iowa, yes and no, his mother's upcoming birthday party that he was dreading because it would involve blind date ambushes. "You can tell her you're seeing someone," Zara offered. "I will. Though fair warning, my mother is going to want to meet you immediately. She's been praying for me to settle down with a good woman since I turned 35. I'd like to meet her. Eventually. When we're ready. She'll love you." He said it with such certainty that warmth flooded her chest. By 1 a.m., Zara's eyes were heavy and the wine was fully metabolized into tiredness. Min-jun stood, collecting dishes. "You should sleep. We'll talk more tomorrow." "Actually tomorrow, not work tomorrow." "You're really leaving?" She tried to hide her disappointment. "I'm really leaving. Because you've had wine and this is new and I won't rush this. We have time, Zara. We can take it slow." But his hand cupped her cheek, thumb stroking her skin. "But yes, I meant everything I said tonight. This is real. You and me." "You and me," she echoed. He kissed her again, soft, sweet, a promise rather than a demand. Then he grabbed his keys and headed for the door. "Min-jun?" He turned back. "Thank you for coming to get me." His smile could have lit the entire city. "Thank you for finally asking." After he left, Zara stood in her quiet apartment, touching her lips, half convinced she'd imagined the entire night. Then Keisha burst out of the bedroom. "Girl, we need to debrief. Because I just heard your boss, your hot, possibly mafia boss, confess he's been pining for you for 11 months while cooking you drunk food, and I need to process every second of what just happened." Zara started laughing and couldn't stop. Her carefully invisible life had just exploded into color. And she couldn't wait to see what happened next. Zara woke Friday morning to 17 texts. 16 were from Keisha, ranging from "OMG to details now" to "Your man can cook too, if you don't lock that down I will." The 17th was from Min-jun, sent at 6:47 a.m. "Good morning. How's your head?" She stared at it, her heart doing acrobatics. This was real. Last night had actually happened. Better than expected. Your fried rice worked magic. 3 dots appeared immediately. Good. I'd like to take you to dinner tonight. Properly. If you're free and still interested in sober daylight. She bit her lip, fighting a smile. I'm free. And yes, still interested. 7 o'clock? I'll pick you up. Okay. Zara? Yes. I'm glad you texted me. She clutched the phone to her chest like a teenager, and when Keisha stumbled out of the guest room with sleep musk braids, she took one look at Zara's face and groaned. You're glowing. I can't handle this before coffee. He just asked me to dinner. Of course he did. That man is gone for you. I saw it in like 3 seconds of watching him look at you. Keisha collapsed on the couch. Okay, details. All of them. What happened after I very generously retreated to the bedroom. Zara told her everything. The confession, the kiss, the conversation about his business, the rules they'd set. Keisha listened with increasingly wide eyes. So your hot boss is potentially in the Korean Mafia, has been secretly in love with you for almost a year, cooked for you at midnight, and wants to date you properly with boundaries and respect. Keisha shook her head. This is some Wattpad-level shit and I am here for it. It's insane, right? It's romantic as hell. But Z? Be careful. Not because I don't think he's genuine, I saw how he looked at you, like you were the only person in the world. But because his world sounds dangerous. And you're my best friend and I need you safe. I know. Zara pulled her knees to her chest. I'm scared. But I'm also excited? For the first time in forever, I'm excited about my life. Then live it. Just promise me you'll keep your eyes open. And if anything feels wrong you'll tell someone. Tell me. I promise. They spent the day being tourists in their own city, Venice Beach, Santa Monica Pier, late lunch at a taco truck that had a line around the block. Keisha flew back to Chicago at 6, leaving Zara with fierce hugs and threats to FaceTime daily for updates. At 6:15, Zara stood in front of her closet having a minor crisis. What did you wear on a first date with your boss? Who'd kissed you while you were tipsy? Who'd confessed 11 months of mutual pining? Who was maybe connected to organized crime? She settled on a wrap dress in deep burgundy that made her brown skin glow, paired with simple gold jewelry. She left her natural curls loose and full, embracing the volume after years of trying to shrink it down. Minimal makeup, she wanted him to see her, really her, sober and intentional. At precisely 7 o'clock there was a knock. She opened the door to find Min-jun in dark jeans and a black button-down, holding a small orchid plant in a ceramic pot. Flowers die, he said by way of greeting. This will last longer. If you take care of it. It's perfect. She accepted the orchid, their fingers brushing. Come in while I put this down. He stepped inside and she was hyper-aware of him in her space again, how his presence seemed to make her small apartment feel even smaller. She set the orchid on her kitchen windowsill next to the African violet. You look beautiful, he said quietly. You look pretty good yourself. Are you nervous? Terrified, she admitted. Me too. That helped somehow, knowing he was just as uncertain as she was. Where are we going? She asked. Koreatown. A place called Sunhajang. It's been there for 30 years and my family's been going there almost as long. They do Korean fusion cuisine. Very good, very private. I thought, neutral ground. Where we can talk. Okay. In the elevator down to the parking garage, they stood carefully not touching. But when they reached his car, the same sleek Aston Martin that had sped through LA traffic last night, he opened her door with old-fashioned courtesy that made her smile. The drive to K-Town took 25 minutes through Friday evening traffic, and they filled it with careful conversation about safe topics. Keisha's visit, the weather, a funny email Zara had seen. But underneath it all thrummed the question neither of them was asking. Now what? Sunhajang was tucked between a karaoke bar and a Korean spa, its exterior modest but its interior warm and elegant. Dark wood, paper lanterns, the scent of grilling meat and garlic. Min-jun spoke to the host in rapid Korean, and they were led to a private corner table. This okay? He asked as they sat. It's perfect. They ordered. He recommended half the menu, encouraging her to try things she'd never had. When the food started arriving it came in waves. Banchan, small side dishes, grilled short ribs, seafood pancakes, kimchi jjigae stew, japchae, glass noodles. This is too much food, Zara protested. This is Korean hospitality. You take home what you don't finish. He smiled. And you share. Here, try this. He reached across the table with his chopsticks, offering her a piece of perfectly grilled beef. The intimacy of the gesture, feeding her, made her breath catch. She accepted it and the flavor exploded on her tongue. Oh my God. Good? Incredible. They fell into an easy rhythm of eating and talking, the initial nervousness easing. He told her about growing up in LA, the son of immigrants who'd built their business from nothing, the pressure and pride of carrying on a family legacy. She told him about Cedar Rapids, about being one of few black students in her high school, about the scholarship to Howard that had felt like escape and possibility. Why Los Angeles? He asked. After DC you could have gone anywhere. I wanted somewhere big enough to disappear in. Somewhere I could reinvent myself, be more than the shy church girl from Iowa. She took a sip of her tea. But I think I just brought my shyness with me. I'm still hiding. Not last night, you weren't. She flushed. Liquid courage. No. Real courage. It takes bravery to be honest about what you want, even to yourself. Especially when what you want is complicated. Speaking of complicated. She set down her chopsticks. Tell me more about your business. The parts you mentioned last night. I want to understand what I'm stepping into. His expression grew serious. Park Logistics is legitimate. We handle import and distribution for hundreds of companies. But my family also has arrangements with certain shipping channels. We move things through the ports that don't go through official channels. High-value goods, mostly electronics, luxury items, sometimes pharmaceuticals. We provide protection services for Korean businesses in LA and beyond. We mediate disputes that people don't want to take to police. We operate in the gray spaces. Is it dangerous? It can be. There are rival organizations, Russian, Chinese, Mexican cartels. There are corrupt officials who want payment. There are people who see any weakness as opportunity. His jaw tightened. My father retired 5 years ago after a confrontation. He was okay, but it was a warning. I've been more careful since then. Smarter. I've built alliances. But yes, there's always risk. Have you ever? She couldn't finish the question. Hurt someone? He met her eyes. Yes. In self-defense and in defense of my people. I've never killed anyone. But I've made choices that haunt me. This life, it requires a kind of hardness that I don't always like in myself. But you protect people too. You told me about the warehouse manager's daughter. You pay fair wages. You're not just a criminal, Min-jun? No. But I'm not just legitimate either. I live in the middle, and that middle space can be dangerous for people close to me. Zara absorbed this, turning it over in her mind. The smart thing would be to walk away. To thank him for dinner and go back to being his competent assistant and nothing more. But when had she ever done the smart thing? And more importantly, when had she ever felt this alive, this seen, this wanted? I know you think you're warning me off, she said slowly. But all I'm hearing is that you're honest and protective and you've built something powerful through loyalty and intelligence. You're not asking me to participate in anything illegal. You're just being transparent about who you are, shadows included. I don't want you hurt because of me. Then protect me. You said you have resources. Use them. But don't push me away because you're afraid. I'm already afraid and I'm here anyway. He reached across the table, taking her hand. His thumb traced circles on her palm. You're remarkable. Do you know that? I'm figuring it out. The rest of dinner was lighter. He made her laugh with stories about his meddling mother, and she shared horror stories from her Howard dorm days. They discovered they both loved Studio Ghibli films, that neither of them could sing but both loved karaoke anyway, that they were both morning people who hated Los Angeles traffic with equal passion. Ground rules, he said over dessert, sweet rice cakes and Korean shaved ice. At work we're professional. No one can know, at least not yet. Not until we're sure and not until we've figured out how to handle the office politics. Agreed. Outside of work we're honest. No games. Something bothers you, you say it. If you need space you take it. And we take this slow, I mean it, Zara. No rushing just because we've been waiting. We do this right. What does right look like to you? Dates. Getting to know each other outside the office. Meeting each other's people. Building trust. And then, we'll see where it goes. I'd like that. And Zara? I'm going to be protective. It's my nature and given my world it's necessary. But I won't be controlling. If I ever cross that line you call me on it. I will. They talked through the logistics, keeping their relationship private at first, communicating outside of work hours, maintaining boundaries. It was pragmatic and romantic at once, and Zara appreciated his thoughtfulness. When he drove her home, he walked her to her door like an old-fashioned gentleman. Under the yellow porch light, he cupped her face in his hands. I'm going to kiss you again, he murmured. Because I've been thinking about it all night. But slowly this time. Because you're sober and we have all the time in the world. Okay, she breathed. This kiss was different from last night's, less desperate, more deliberate. A slow exploration, a mutual discovery. His lips were soft and firm at once, and when his tongue traced the seam of her mouth, she opened for him with a sigh. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against hers. Good night, Zara. Good night, Min-jun. I'll see you Monday. At the office. Where you'll be my extremely professional assistant. And you'll be my extremely appropriate boss. And then Monday night I'll take you to dinner again. If you want. I want. He kissed her forehead, her cheek, the corner of her mouth, gentle touches that felt like promises. Then he left, and Zara floated into her apartment, pressing her fingers to her lips. She texted Keisha immediately. First date was perfect. I'm in trouble. The response came within seconds. The good kind of trouble or the bad kind? The falling in love kind. Then enjoy the fall, babe. I'll be here to hear all about it. Zara fell asleep with a smile on her face, the orchid on her windowsill, and the taste of Min-jun still on her lips. Her invisible life was over. And the visible one, the brave, messy, beautiful one, was just beginning. Monday morning arrived with its usual chaos. Traffic on the 101, aggressive coffee run drivers, the elevator small talk Zara normally avoided. But everything felt different now, brighter, more vivid, like someone had adjusted the saturation on her life. She arrived at the office at 6:50 a.m., her usual time. Min-jun's office was already lit, which meant he'd been there since at least 6, post-run and ready for the week. Professional. They'd agreed. At work they were assistant and boss, nothing more. But when she knocked and entered with his coffee, the look he gave her was anything but professional. Good morning, Miss Johnson. His voice was formal, but his eyes were warm. Good morning, Mr. Park. She set the coffee on his desk, their fingers brushing for half a second. Your 8 o'clock with the Port Authority is confirmed. The revised shipping manifests are in your inbox. And your mother called already. Apparently you're not eating enough vegetables. His lips twitched. My mother has psychic powers. Or she just knows her son. They held each other's gaze for a beat too long, and Zara felt heat creeping up her neck. That'll be all, Ms. Johnson. Thank you. She left before she did something unprofessional like kiss him across his desk. The morning unfolded in its familiar rhythm, but underneath it all was a new awareness, of every time he passed her desk, every glance through his office window, every low-voiced thank you when she brought him documents. It was exquisite torture. At lunch, Marcus from accounting stopped by her desk. Hey, you look different. Did you change your hair? No. Something's different. You're like, glowing. New moisturizer? Just had a good weekend, she said, fighting a smile. Well, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. You seem happy. She was. God help her, she was radiantly, stupidly happy. That evening, Min-jun texted. Dinner at my place tonight? I'll cook. Unless you're tired of Korean food already. I could never be tired of it. What time? 7:30. I'll send a car. I can drive myself. Zara. Let me send the car. It's safer. She wanted to argue, but she'd agreed to let him be protective. And honestly, navigating LA traffic after a full day of work was exhausting. Okay. Thank you. See you tonight. The car arrived precisely at 7:15. A sleek black sedan with a driver who introduced himself as James and treated her with impeccable courtesy. They drove to Century City, pulling up to a high-rise that screamed wealth and security. The driver handed her off to a doorman, who escorted her to a private elevator that required a key card. Mr. Park's penthouse is the 40th floor. Only floor this elevator goes to, ma'am. The elevator ride felt endless. When the doors opened directly into Min-jun's apartment, Zara's breath caught. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the entire city. Downtown LA, the Hollywood sign, the distant ocean. The space was open and modern, decorated in minimalist style with Korean art on the walls and a kitchen that looked like it belonged in a restaurant. You're here. Min-jun appeared from the kitchen in jeans and a t-shirt, looking more relaxed than she'd ever seen him. Welcome. This place is incredible. It's too big for one person. But the security is good. He pulled her into his arms, kissing her softly. Hi. Hi. Come. I'm making bulgogi and chapchai. You can help if you want, or you can watch and judge my technique. She chose helping, and they fell into an easy rhythm in his enormous kitchen. He taught her how to prepare the beef, how to season it properly, the right way to stir-fry the glass noodles. His hands covered hers, guiding her movements, and every touch felt electric. My grandmother would approve of you, he said. She believed cooking together was the foundation of partnership. Was she a good cook? The best. She ran a restaurant in Seoul before they immigrated. Taught my mother everything, who taught me and my sisters. In our family, food is love language. And mine too. My mom sends care packages of seasoning and recipes because she's convinced I'll forget how to cook Southern food out here. You should cook for me sometime. I'd like to taste your mother's recipes through you. The intimacy of the statement made her chest tight. They ate on his balcony, the city spread out below them, and talked about everything. His sisters who lived in San Francisco and drove him crazy with their matchmaking attempts, her college years at Howard, their favorite books and movies, and the tiny LA spots they loved. There's a 24-hour Korean spa in K-Town, he said. Best place to decompress after a hard week. Private rooms, excellent massage therapists. I'll take you sometime. I'd like that. After dinner, they curled up on his couch, a massive sectional that faced the windows, and he pulled her against his side with casual possessiveness that made her feel cherished. This is nice, she murmured. Being able to just be with you. No pretending. It is. His fingers traced patterns on her shoulder. Though I have to admit, watching you be professional at the office is also attractive. You're very good at your job. You're biased. I'm observant. You handle things I don't even know need handling. You make my life easier. He pressed a kiss to her temple. And you're the best assistant I've ever had. Even if I'm now hopelessly compromised about your performance reviews. She laughed. I'm going to earn every good review. I know you will. They stayed like that for a while, comfortable and quiet, before Min-jun spoke again. I should tell you, I've increased security measures. Nothing obvious, but there's a driver available to you now, and I've had someone check your apartment to ensure it's secure. I also upgraded your phone with better encryption. Min-jun. I know. I'm being protective. But Zara, people know I'm involved with someone. Word spreads. And I need to know you're safe. Please, let me do this. She thought about arguing. But she'd agreed to let him protect her in his way. And honestly, having a driver for late nights was a relief. Okay. But no bodyguards following me around. I draw the line at that. Deal. Unless there's a specific threat, you have your privacy. They talked logistics for a few more minutes, then returned to easier topics. Around 11, Zara yawned despite herself. I should get home. Work tomorrow. Stay. The word was soft, but his eyes were serious. Not for, I just want to wake up with you. We'll be good. I have a guest room if you want space, or you can sleep in my room and I'll be a perfect gentleman. Your room. But sleep only. We're taking this slow, remember? I remember. He lent her one of his t-shirts, soft and enormous on her, and led her to a bedroom that was all clean lines and comfortable luxury. The bed was massive. They lay facing each other in the dark, the city lights filtering through the curtains. I like this, she whispered. Being here with you. So do I. His hand found hers under the covers. Get some sleep. I'll wake you early, the driver can take you home to change before work. Okay. Zara? Yes. I'm very glad you drunk texted me. She smiled in the darkness. Me too. She fell asleep holding his hand, safer than she'd ever felt. The weeks that followed fell into a rhythm that was thrilling and terrifying in equal measure. At work they were impeccably professional. Zara arrived early with his coffee. Min-jun treated her with respectful courtesy. They held meetings, managed crises, navigated the complex logistics of running a major distribution company. To everyone else, nothing had changed. But underneath, everything had changed. Stolen glances across conference rooms. His hand brushing her lower back as he passed her desk when no one was looking. Late afternoons when he'd buzz her intercom and ask for a file, and she'd enter his office to find him watching her with heat in his eyes before they both remembered themselves. This is harder than I thought, she admitted one evening over video call. They'd started calling each other before bed when they weren't together, just to hear each other's voices to decompress from the day. The secrecy? He was in his home office, working late, his hair slightly mussed. The wanting to touch you and not being able to. I watched you in that meeting with the shipping contractors today and all I could think about was kissing you. His expression darkened with want. Zara. You can't say things like that when I can't do anything about it. Sorry. No, you're not. She grinned. No, I'm not. Their dates became the highlight of her weeks. He took her to hidden spots around LA, a hole-in-the-wall Thai restaurant in East Hollywood, a hike through Runyon Canyon at sunrise, a Korean cinema that showed classic films with English subtitles. He was teaching her about his culture in gentle increments, and she loved every moment. She introduced him to her world too. When her Black Women's Book Club met at SO1 bookstore in Limerick Park, she brought him along. He was the only man and one of two non-black people in the room, but he listened with genuine interest as they discussed Toni Morrison, asked thoughtful questions and charmed every single person there. Your man is fine and respectful, her book club friend Shanice whispered. If you don't lock that down, I know 3 women who will. I'm working on it, Zara whispered back, glowing. He took her to a Koreatown festival where they ate street food and watched traditional dance performances. He taught her basic Korean phrases, annyeonghaseyo, hello, gamsahamnida, thank you, sarangi, I love you, though he said that last one with a slight smile that made her wonder if he was testing the waters. She wasn't ready to say it back yet, but she felt it. Growing, deepening, becoming impossible to ignore. There were complications. Minor ones mostly. Marcus cornered her one day with a knowing look. "So, you and the boss." Her heart stopped. "What?" "Relax. I'm not gossiping. But I've seen the way he looks at you when he thinks no one's watching. And you've been happier lately. Glowing even. I'm just saying, be careful. Office relationships are tricky." "There's nothing. Zara. I'm not judging. I'm just saying I'm here if you need someone to talk to. And also, good for you. That man is clearly gone for you." She appreciated his discretion and his friendship. It was a reminder that they couldn't keep this secret forever. Late nights were her favorite. When they could finally drop the pretense and just be together. Some nights at his place, some at hers. Cooking together, watching movies, talking about their days without having to carefully edit their conversations. "Tell me something about growing up in Iowa," he said one night, his head in her lap as she played with his hair. "Like what?" "Anything. I want to know all of you." So she told him about being one of 3 black families in her small town. About her mother's determination to raise her proud and strong despite the microaggressions and subtle prejudice. About winning a scholarship to Howard and feeling like she could finally breathe. About the imposter syndrome that followed her even now, the fear that she didn't belong in spaces like Park Logistics, that someone would realize she was just a girl from Iowa pretending to be sophisticated. "You're not pretending," he said fiercely. "You're brilliant and competent and you've earned every opportunity you have. Don't let anyone, including yourself, tell you otherwise." "What about you?" she asked. What was it like growing up Korean American in LA? He told her about code switching between cultures, never quite feeling fully Korean or fully American. About his father's expectations and the pressure of being the only son. About watching his parents work 16-hour days to build their business, and the pride and guilt of inheriting something they'd sacrificed so much for. "Do you ever wish you'd chosen a different path?" she asked. "Something not connected to your family?" "Sometimes. But this is who I am. This business, these connections, this responsibility, it's woven into me. I can't separate myself from it any more than I can separate myself from being Korean. It's legacy. It's obligation. It's identity." He turned to look up at her. "Does that bother you?" "No. I understand obligation and legacy just in a different way. My mom worked 2 jobs to get me through college. I carry that with me, the weight of her sacrifice, the responsibility to make it mean something. We're not so different then?" "No. We're not." They made out on her couch like teenagers, learning each other's bodies through careful exploration. He was patient and attentive, always checking in, never pushing. When his hand slid under her shirt one night and cupped her breast through her bra, they both groaned. "We should stop," he said even as his thumb traced her nipple. "Probably." But they didn't. Not yet. They stayed in that heated space between restraint and surrender, building tension until they were both breathless and aching. "Soon," he promised against her mouth. "When we're both ready. When it's right." "Soon," she agreed. 6 weeks into their relationship, Min-jun invited her to a family barbecue. "Fair warning," he said over coffee at her apartment. "My family is loud and intrusive and they will ask you 1,000 questions. My mother will try to feed you until you burst. My sisters will interrogate you about your intentions toward their baby brother. You're the oldest. That doesn't matter to them. They're protective." He pulled her into his arms. "But I want them to meet you. I want them to know you're important to me." "How important?" "Very." He kissed her softly. "I'm falling for you, Zara. Have been since the beginning. I just wanted you to know before you meet my chaotic family." Her heart stuttered. "I'm falling for you too." Yeah. They stood there grinning at each other like idiots, and Zara thought that this honest, genuine connection was worth every risk. The Park family barbecue was held at Min-jun's parents' house in Hancock Park, a beautiful traditional home with a massive backyard currently filled with relatives, friends, and enough food to feed an army. Zara wore a sundress and her most confident smile, but her hands were shaking as Min-jun led her through the side gate. "Mom," he called out. "We're here." A petite Korean woman in an apron emerged from the outdoor kitchen, her face lighting up when she saw Min-jun. Then she noticed Zara, and her expression transformed into pure delight. "You brought someone?" She switched to rapid Korean, talking to Min-jun while looking at Zara with undisguised curiosity and approval. "Mom English. This is Zara Johnson. Zara, my mother, Mrs. Park. Please call me Suni." She pulled Zara into a hug that smelled like sesame oil and warmth. "You're beautiful." And tall. Min-jun, she's so pretty. I know, Mom. Come, come. Everyone will want to meet you. The next hour was a whirlwind of introductions. Min-jun's father, a dignified man with sharp eyes and a firm handshake. His sisters, Mina and Yoonji, who were indeed protective and asked Zara pointed questions about her education, her job, her intentions. Various aunts, uncles and cousins who all seemed to have opinions about Min-jun's love life. But they were also warm and welcoming in a way that made Zara's chest ache. This was family, loud and intrusive and loving. So different from her small, quiet Iowa family, but beautiful in its own way. Zara, you eat meat? Suni asked, pressing a plate into her hands. Try the bulgogi, I marinated it myself. And the japchae, and this is kimchi from my garden. Mom, she can serve herself. I'm just making sure she eats. She's too thin. Zara caught Mina's eye across the table and they both smiled. Some things transcended culture. Mothers who showed love through food were universal. After eating, Min-jun gave her a tour of the house. In his childhood bedroom, now converted to a guest room but still with sports trophies and old photos, she studied pictures of a younger Min-jun with longer hair and a shy smile. You were cute. I was awkward. Cute awkward. She kissed his cheek. Your family is wonderful. They like you. My mother's already planning our wedding in her head. Min-jun. I'm serious. She asked me in Korean when you walked away if I was planning to propose soon. Zara's heart did a complicated flip. What did you tell her? That we're taking our time. But that you're very important to me. He pulled her close. Is that okay? I don't want to pressure you. It's okay. It's more than okay. She kissed him properly. I could see a future with you. I think I've been seeing it for a while now. Good. Because I definitely see one with you. They stayed at the barbecue until sunset, Zara learning to make kimchi alongside Suni and listening to embarrassing Min-jun stories from his sisters. When they finally left, full and happy, Min-jun's mother hugged Zara tightly. You come back soon, yes? For Chuseok next month, it's Korean Thanksgiving. You'll learn to make songpyeon. I'd love that. In the car driving back to Zara's apartment, she felt lighter than she had in years. Thank you for today, she said, lacing her fingers through his. Thank you for being so gracious with my family. I know they're a lot. They're perfect. They remind me that family doesn't have to be small to be close. He brought her hand to his lips. I love you, Zara. I've been wanting to say it for weeks, but I wanted to be sure you were ready to hear it. Time stopped. The city lights blurred outside the window. Her heart was so full she thought it might burst. I love you too, she whispered. I've loved you since you sent my mom flowers when she had the flu. I think I've loved you all along. He pulled over, they were on a quiet residential street, and kissed her with a desperation that stole her breath. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against hers. Come home with me tonight, he said. Not just to sleep. I want you, Zara. All of you. If you're ready. I'm ready. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. They made it to his penthouse in record time. Min-jun's bedroom was dimly lit by city lights, intimate and warm. Zara's nerves hummed with anticipation and a flutter of anxiety, not about being with him, but about being fully seen in a way she never had been before. He sensed it because of course he did. He cupped her face gently. We can stop any time. We don't have to rush this. I don't want to stop. I'm just... She took a breath. I want to be good for you, Zara. His voice was fierce. Just being you is good for me. Everything else is just us learning each other. There's no performance here. Just honesty. She kissed him then, pouring everything she felt into it, love and trust and desire all tangled together. He responded with matching intensity, his hands sliding into her hair, his body pressing against hers. They undressed each other slowly, carefully, with whispered compliments and gentle touches. When she stood before him in only her underwear, self-consciousness tried to creep in, all the ways her body didn't match magazine standards, all the insecurities she'd carried. But Min-jun looked at her like she was art. You're beautiful, he said simply. Every part of you. And then they were on his bed, and his hands and mouth were everywhere, learning her body with patient attention. He made her feel cherished and desired in equal measure, and when they finally came together, it was tender and intense and absolutely right. After, they lay tangled together, her head on his chest, his hand stroking her back in lazy circles. That was... She couldn't find words. Perfect, he finished. You're perfect. I love you. I love you too. So much, Zara. So much. They fell asleep like that, wrapped in each other, and Zara felt safer and more herself than she ever had. The next morning, they woke to sunlight and the comfortable intimacy of shared space. Min-jun made coffee and they ate breakfast on his balcony, trading sections of the newspaper and stealing kisses between bites. "I need to tell you something," he said suddenly, his expression growing serious. Zara's stomach tightened. "Okay. You know my business has gray areas. But there are some things I haven't told you. Specific things. And if we're doing this, building a real future, you need to know all of it." She set down her coffee. "I'm listening," he told her then in careful detail. About the protection rackets that kept Korean businesses safe from other criminal elements. About shipments that bypassed customs through carefully cultivated relationships with corrupt officials. About enforcement actions when someone violated agreements or threatened park territory. "I've hurt people," he said quietly. "Not lightly and not without cause. But I've used violence when necessary to protect what's mine. 5 years ago, a rival organization tried to muscle in on our port operations. There was a confrontation. He stopped, collecting himself. "I put 2 men in the hospital. It was self-defense, but it was brutal. And I would do it again if my family or my people were threatened." Zara processed this, her mind sorting through emotions. Fear, yes, but also understanding. In his world, violence wasn't casual, it was strategic, protective, a last resort. "Have you killed anyone?" she asked, needing to know. "No. I've come close. But no. Do you carry a gun?" "Sometimes. When I'm meeting with people I don't trust." "Are you in danger now?" "Currently?" "There's always ambient danger in this world. But right now things are stable. We have good relationships with the other organizations. No active threats." He took her hand. "But Zara, you need to understand, being with me means accepting that this is part of my life. That there might be dangerous moments. That you're now someone people could try to use against me. Which is why you upgraded my security." "Yes." She was quiet for a long moment, watching the city wake up below them. Then she turned to face him fully. "I love you," she said. "Not despite who you are, but including all of who you are. Yes, this is complicated. Yes, there's risk. But Min-jun, you're honest and protective and you've built something based on loyalty and honor, even if that honor exists outside conventional laws. I'm not naive, I know what I'm choosing. But I'm choosing you. All of you." His eyes were bright with emotion. "You're extraordinary. I'm scared. But I'm also sure. Of us. Of this." He kissed her then, deep and grateful, and when they broke apart, something had shifted. No more secrets. No more holding back. Just them, fully known and fully loved. "There's one more thing," he said. "A minor threat, but you should know. One of our rival operations, Russian group based in West Hollywood, they've been making noise about wanting to renegotiate our port access agreements. It's probably just posturing, but my people are keeping an eye on it. I've increased security on all of our key people. Including you." "Okay. What do I need to do?" "Just be aware. Don't go anywhere alone late at night. Use the driver when you can. And if anything feels off, anyone following you, strange calls, anything, you tell me immediately." "I will." They spent the rest of the day together, comfortable and honest, and Zara felt the last piece of her invisible life fall away. She was fully here now, fully present, fully choosing this complicated, beautiful, dangerous love. The following week, Zara stood in a conference room presenting quarterly logistics reports to the executive team, and for the first time in her career, she didn't shrink. She stood tall, made eye contact, spoke clearly. When one of the VPs questioned her analysis, she defended it with data and confidence. And when Min-jun caught her eye from across the table, the pride in his expression made her glow. After the meeting, Marcus pulled her aside. "Look at you. Where did confident Zara come from? She was always here. Just hiding. Well, she needs to stay." That was impressive. She was learning to take up space, to be visible. It felt terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure. That night, Min-jun took her to an upscale Italian restaurant in Beverly Hills, and over pasta and wine, he reached across the table. "Move in with me." She blinked. "What?" "Move in. Not right away if you're not ready. But soon. I want to wake up with you every morning. I want to come home to you every night. I want your things in my space, your presence in my life. Officially." Her heart raced. "That's a big step." "I know. And if it's too soon, I understand. But Zara, I'm 41 years old. I've dated plenty. I've never felt this way about anyone. I don't want to waste time being cautious when I know what I want. I want you. In my home, in my life, in my future." I want that too, she said slowly. But my lease doesn't end for 4 more months. Break it. I'll pay the penalty. Min-jun. Or keep your apartment as a safety net. Whatever makes you comfortable. I'm just saying my home is your home whenever you want it to be. She thought about it. About waking up in his arms every morning, cooking together every night, building a shared life. About how her small Studio City apartment had never quite felt like home anyway. Okay, she said. Let me think about logistics. But yes, I want to live with you. His smile could have powered the entire city. 2 weeks later, Zara started moving clothes and toiletries to Min-jun's penthouse. She kept her apartment, partly as backup, partly because 4 months of rent didn't seem worth breaking the lease, but spent most nights at his place. They fell into domestic rhythms that felt natural and right. Morning coffee together before work. Cooking dinners. Netflix on the couch. Occasional family dinners where both their worlds blended. Her mom visiting from Iowa and bonding with his mother over cooking techniques. His sisters helping Zara shop for an upcoming Chuseok celebration. At work they maintained their professional facade, but it was getting harder. The way he looked at her. The way she anticipated his needs. People noticed, though no one said anything directly. When are we going public? She asked one night. At the office, I mean. People are starting to talk. Are you ready for that? For the judgment and the gossip. I'm ready to stop hiding. Then we'll tell HR next week. Make it official. Set boundaries about professionalism and make sure everyone knows you earned your position independently. Okay. That weekend there was an incident. Zara had gone back to her apartment to grab some books when she noticed the lock looked scratched. Inside things were slightly off, drawers not quite closed, her laptop moved, a sense that someone had been through her space. Her hands shook as she called Min-jun. He arrived within 15 minutes, fury barely contained. He walked through her apartment with sharp eyes, checking windows and doors, his jaw tight. This was a message, he said finally. Someone wanted you to know they could get to you. The Russians you mentioned? Probably. Or someone else testing boundaries. Either way, this ends now. He pulled her close. You're not staying here anymore. Not until we know it's secure. And Zara? This is what I meant about danger. This is what being with me looks like. I'm not leaving you. I know. But I need to know you're safe. Will you trust me to protect you? Yes. He made calls, rapid Korean conversations that sounded both angry and controlled. Within an hour, security had swept her apartment, changed the locks and installed a better alarm system. Min-jun had 2 of his people stationed nearby watching. This is temporary, he promised. Until I handle this situation. But I won't let anyone threaten you. That night, safe in his penthouse with its extensive security, Zara processed what had happened. She'd been violated, her space invaded. It was terrifying. But she also felt Min-jun's protective fury on her behalf, his absolute commitment to keeping her safe. And she realized that this complicated, sometimes dangerous love, was still the life she wanted. I'm okay, she told him as they lay in bed. Shaken but okay. I'll fix this. The people who did this will regret it. Don't do anything that will put you in danger. His laugh was dark. I've been handling threats like this for 20 years. Trust me. She did. Against all logic, she trusted him completely. 3 days later, Min-jun came home with news. It's handled. The Russians overstepped. Breaking into your apartment violated multiple agreements. I had a conversation with their leader. They've backed down and they've guaranteed your safety. If they violate that, it's war and they know they'll lose. What did you say to them? That you're under my protection. That any threat to you is a threat to me. That I would burn their operations to the ground if they touched you again. His expression was hard. They believed me. Zara should probably be bothered by the violence underlying his words. Instead, she felt protected. Cherished. Thank you. You don't thank me for keeping you safe. That's just what I do. She kissed him, grateful and in love and fully committed to this life they were building. October brought cooler temperatures and deeper integration into each other's lives. Zara officially moved into Min-jun's penthouse, bringing her books and plants and the photos of her family. His space transformed, her African art next to his Korean scrolls, her colorful throw pillows softening his minimalist aesthetic, her habits, stress baking, extensive tea collection, obsessive plant care, blending with his morning runs, excessive coffee consumption, tendency to work past midnight. They hosted their first dinner party, a fusion of cultures with both families present. Sharon Johnson flew in from Iowa, initially skeptical of her daughter dating her boss, but Min-jun won her over with his respect, his obvious love for Zara, and his willingness to learn how to make proper collard greens. "He's a good man," Sharon told Zara privately. "Old-fashioned in the right ways. And baby, the way he looks at you? That's love." "I know, Mama. Just promise me you'll be careful. His world sounds dangerous." "I promise." The blended family dinner was chaotic and wonderful. Suni and Sharon bonding over their shared exasperation with their children, Min-jun's sisters interrogating Zara's mom about embarrassing childhood stories, everyone eating too much and laughing too loud. "This," Min-jun said to Zara in the kitchen as they cleaned up, "is what I want. Both our worlds together. Our families becoming one family." "Me too." He kissed her softly. "I bought you something." He handed her a small box. Inside was a delicate gold necklace with a key pendant. "The key to my heart is too cheesy," he said. "But it's the key to this penthouse. Official. You live here now. This is home." She clasped it around her neck, the key resting just above her heart. "I love it. I love you. I love you too. More every day." At work, they'd made their relationship official through HR, with clear documentation that Zara had been hired and promoted on merit. There'd been some gossip, but mostly supportive surprise. "We had a betting pool," Marcus confessed. "About when you two would finally get together. I won $300. You're ridiculous. I'm observant. And rich. Thanks for that." The office dynamic shifted slightly. People treated Zara with a mix of respect and curiosity. Some were jealous, she could tell. Others were supportive. But she'd grown confident enough in her own competence that the opinions of others bothered her less. When a new junior assistant made a snide comment about Zara, sleeping her way to the top, Zara confronted her directly. "I was hired 11 months before Min-jun and I started dating. I've worked 60-hour weeks, handled crisis after crisis, and earned every responsibility I have. My personal life doesn't diminish my professional accomplishments. If you have a problem with that, take it up with HR. Otherwise, respect me or work somewhere else." The junior assistant apologized. And word spread that Zara Johnson wasn't someone to underestimate. Min-jun heard about it from Marcus and was viciously proud. "That's my woman. Taking no shit. I learned from the best," she said, kissing him in his office after everyone had gone home. The threats had subsided after Min-jun's confrontation with the Russians, but security remained tight. Zara had a driver now, a bodyguard on standby for certain situations, and Min-jun's people keeping distant watch. She'd adapted to it, the reality of dating someone in his position. It was a small price to pay for the love and partnership they'd built. One evening they took a long drive up the Pacific Coast Highway, watching the sunset over Malibu, talking about the future. "Do you want kids?" he asked suddenly. "Eventually. Yes. Do you?" "I do. I didn't think I did until I met you. But now I can imagine it, our children raised with both our cultures taught to be strong and kind and brave." "How many? 2? 3? However many we're blessed with." She laced her fingers through his. "I like that vision." "Marriage first though," he said. "I'm traditional about some things." "Is that a proposal?" "Not yet. When I propose you'll know. It'll be intentional and romantic and I'll have asked your mother's blessing first." "You've thought about this?" "Every day." She kissed him then there on the side of the highway with the ocean crashing below, and thought that this love, this partnership, this future they were building, was worth every risk she'd taken. November brought Thanksgiving, and they celebrated at his parents' house with both families present. The table was enormous, covered in both traditional American dishes and Korean fusion versions. Sharon's cornbread dressing next to Suni's kimchi fried rice, turkey and bulgogi, pumpkin pie and songpyeon. "This is what America should be," Suni said, raising her wine glass. "Different cultures, different families coming together with respect and love." "Amen," Sharon agreed. They went around the table sharing what they were grateful for. When it came to Zara, she looked at Min-jun across the table and said simply, "I'm grateful for courage. For taking risks. For finding love when I wasn't looking for it. I'm grateful for drunk texts," Min-jun said, grinning, and the whole table laughed. Later, helping with dishes, his sister Mina pulled Zara aside. "He's going to propose soon. Just so you know. He's been looking at rings." Zara's heart stuttered. "How soon? Christmas maybe? Or New Year's?" "He's sentimental about new beginnings." Mina smiled. "And just so you know, we all love you. You're already family." "Thank you," Zara said, hugging her. "That means everything." December arrived with holiday parties and year-end chaos at work. But underneath it all, Zara felt the anticipation building. Something was coming. Something wonderful. She was right. The office holiday party was held at a downtown hotel ballroom, elegant and formal. Zara wore a gold dress that made her skin glow, and when she walked in on Min-jun's arm, the whispers started immediately. They'd been officially out as a couple for months, but this was the first company social event they'd attended together. Min-jun kept his hand on her lower back, a subtle claim, and introduced her to clients and partners as his girlfriend with obvious pride. "You're enjoying this?" she murmured between conversations. "Enjoying what?" "Showing me off." "Absolutely. You're gorgeous and brilliant. Why wouldn't I show you off?" She laughed, feeling beautiful and confident and completely herself. Later, during dinner, Min-jun stood to give his annual address to the company. He talked about their successes, their goals, the hard work of everyone present. Then he paused. "I also want to acknowledge something personal," he said, his eyes finding Zara in the crowd. "Many of you know that Zara Johnson and I are in a relationship. I want to be clear, she earned her position here through exceptional competence and dedication. She makes this company better, she makes me better, and I'm grateful every day that she took a chance on Park Logistics, and eventually, on me." The room erupted in applause. Zara's eyes stung with happy tears. "Also," Marcus called out, "I won the betting pool about when you'd get together, so thanks for that, boss." Everyone laughed, the tension breaking, and the party continued with warmth and acceptance. That night, back at the penthouse, Min-jun pulled her onto the balcony despite the cold December air. "I have something for you," he said, suddenly nervous in a way she rarely saw. "Min-jun. Wait. Let me say this." He took her hands. "Zara Johnson, you changed my life the moment you walked into my office for that interview. You've made me better, softer, more honest. You've integrated into my world with grace and courage. You've met my family and loved them, and they love you. You've handled dangers most people couldn't imagine with strength and trust. You've become my partner in every way that matters." He dropped to one knee and Zara stopped breathing. "I know we've only been together for 6 months, but I've known since day one that you were special. I've known since that drunk text that I'd cross any distance to be with you. I've known since you told me you loved me that I wanted to spend the rest of my life loving you back." He pulled out a box, opening it to reveal an emerald ring surrounded by diamonds. "Will you marry me? Will you build a future with me? Will you be my wife?" "Yes," she said, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes." He slid the ring onto her finger, a perfect fit, emerald green like her birthstone, and stood to kiss her with a desperation that spoke of relief and joy and love so deep it felt infinite. "I love you," she said against his mouth. "I love you so much." "I love you too. Always." They stood on the balcony, the city sparkling below them, the ring glinting in the moonlight, and Zara felt complete. Her invisible life was truly over. This brilliant, visible, brave life was just beginning. The engagement announcement sent shockwaves through the office and their social circles. Most reactions were enthusiastically supportive. A few were skeptical or judgmental, but Zara had learned not to shrink for other people's comfort. "Let them talk," Min-jun said when she mentioned the gossip. "We know the truth. That's all that matters." They set a date for the following October, a year to plan, to integrate their lives even further, to prepare for marriage. Zara moved the last of her belongings from her Studio City apartment into the penthouse. The space was fully theirs now, a blend of cultures and styles that reflected both of them. African art and Korean pottery. Her romance novels and his business biographies. Their shared life, visible in every room. They held an engagement party at his parents' house, and Sharon flew in with Zara's aunts and cousins. The backyard was transformed with lights and decorations, and both families mingled with easy affection. "You did good, baby," Sharon told Zara, watching Min-jun laugh with her uncle. "He's going to take care of you. But more than that, he's going to support you being yourself. That's the real gift." "I know, Mama. I'm proud of you. For taking the risk. For being brave." At work, they navigated their dual roles with practiced ease. Zara had been promoted to Director of Operations, a role she'd earned through competence and vision. She managed a team now, led initiatives, made decisions that impacted the entire company. "You're incredible at this," Marcus told her after a particularly successful project launch. "Seriously? You've grown so much in the past year." "I just stopped hiding," she said simply. One afternoon, a junior employee named Devin, the one who'd made the snide comment months ago, asked to speak with Zara privately. "I wanted to apologize," Devin said, looking genuinely remorseful, "for what I said before. About you and Mr. Park. It was inappropriate and wrong." I was jealous and insecure and I took it out on you. But watching you lead these past months, seeing how competent and fair you are, I realize I judged you without knowing you. I'm sorry. Apology accepted, Zara said. And Devin? If you want to grow here, focus on your own work, not other people's relationships. You have potential. Don't waste it on gossip. Thank you. I will. After Devin left, Zara smiled. She'd become the kind of leader she'd always wanted to work for, fair, direct, empowering. In March there was another security threat, minor but real. A disgruntled former employee who'd been fired for embezzlement made threats against Min-jun and, by extension, Zara. Min-jun's security team handled it quickly, but the incident reminded them both that danger was always a possibility. Do you ever regret this? Min-jun asked one night, holding her close. The complications? The security concerns? The fact that loving me means living with these risks. Never, she said firmly. Yes, it's complicated. Yes, there are risks I never imagined when I was just your assistant. But Min-jun, you're worth it. This life we're building, it's worth it. I'd rather be brave with you than safe without you. I'll always protect you. I know. But I'm not fragile. I can handle your world. You're the strongest person I know. They made love that night with an intensity born of gratitude and relief, and afterward, lying in the dark, Min-jun's hand rested on her stomach. I can't wait to marry you, he murmured. 7 more months. Too long. We'll make it. She kissed his chest. We've made it through everything else. In June they took a trip to Korea, Min-jun's first time back in 5 years. He showed her Seoul, introduced her to extended family, took her to the restaurant his grandmother had run before immigrating. This is where my family's story started, he said, standing in front of the small building, now a different business. Where my grandmother served food and saved money and dreamed of a better life for her children. Every success I have because of her courage. She'd be proud of you, Zara said. And she'd love that you're marrying someone who understands courage. They visited traditional markets, ancient palaces, modern K-pop districts. Zara fell in love with the city, its contradictions and energy, the way tradition and modernity coexisted. Would you ever want to live here? He asked. Part-time maybe? We could maintain homes in both cities. I'd consider it. After we have kids, maybe. So they know their Korean heritage deeply. Our kids are going to be so loved, he said. 2 cultures, 2 countries, all our families doting on them. They won't know what hit them. They laughed, imagining their future children navigating Korean grandmothers and Southern American grandmothers, learning kimchi recipes and cornbread techniques, growing up bilingual and bicultural. Back in LA, summer heat settled over the city, and Zara's excitement about the wedding grew. She'd chosen her dress, elegant and simple, with her mother's approval. They'd selected a venue overlooking the ocean. The guest list was enormous, blending both their worlds. I want you to know something, Min-jun said one evening as they addressed invitations together. When we get married, I'm giving you full access to everything. Bank accounts, business information, security protocols. You'll know every aspect of my life. No secrets. Min-jun, I don't need. Yes, you do. We're partners. Equals. I won't have you living in partial knowledge. If something happens to me, you need to be able to protect yourself and manage everything. Nothing's going to happen to you. Probably not. But I need you prepared. Promise me you'll learn it all. I promise. It was a stark reminder of the world he lived in. But Zara appreciated his transparency, his commitment to making her a full partner. September arrived, and with it, final wedding preparations. Zara was glowing, busy, happier than she'd ever been. One evening, feeling nauseated and exhausted, she took a pregnancy test on a whim. Positive. She stared at it, shock and joy flooding through her. They'd been careful, but not perfectly so. And now, baby. Their baby. Due in May by her calculations. She told Min-jun that night over dinner she'd cooked, his favorite bulgogi. When he took his first bite, she slid the test across the table. He looked at it. Looked at her. Looked at it again. You're pregnant. I'm pregnant. We're having a baby. We're having a baby. He was around the table in seconds, pulling her into his arms, his hands shaking as he held her. I love you. I love you so much. Thank you. Thank you for this gift. She was crying, laughing, overwhelmed. We're getting married next month and having a baby in May. We're doing everything backward. We're doing everything perfectly. They told their families the following weekend at a joint dinner. The reactions were exactly what they'd hoped. Tears, hugs, immediate planning for baby showers and nursery designs. I knew it, Suni said triumphantly. I knew you were glowing more than usual. A grandbaby, Sharon said, hugging Zara. Oh baby, I'm so happy for you. The wedding took on new significance now, not just joining two people but creating a family. Literally. October arrived with perfect California weather, warm but not hot, clear blue skies, the ocean breeze carrying the scent of salt and possibility. The wedding venue was a cliffside estate in Palos Verdes, overlooking the Pacific. White chairs faced an arch covered in orchids and roses. 200 guests, family, friends, colleagues, connections from both their worlds, gathered to witness Zara Johnson and Min-jun Park become one family. Zara walked down the aisle on her mother's arm, her dress elegant and flowing, her small baby bump just barely visible. Min-jun waited at the altar in a custom suit, and when he saw her, his eyes filled with tears. The ceremony was a blend of traditions, Korean bows and American vows, readings in both English and Korean, music that reflected both cultures. When they exchanged rings, Zara's voice was steady and sure. I promise to be your partner in all things. To love you in sunshine and shadow. To build a life with you that honors both our histories. To raise our children with courage and kindness. To always choose you. Min-jun's voice was rough with emotion. I promise to see you always. To protect you fiercely and love you gently. To be worthy of the trust you've placed in me. To build a future as brave and beautiful as you are. To spend every day grateful that you drunk texted me that Thursday night and changed my life forever. Laughter rippled through the crowd. They were pronounced husband and wife, and when Min-jun kissed her, the guests erupted in cheers. The reception was joy incarnate. Dancing and speeches and food that blended soul food and Korean barbecue. Sharon and Suni gave a joint mother of the couple speech that had everyone crying and laughing. Marcus made inappropriate jokes about the betting pool. Keisha, maid of honor, told embarrassing stories about Howard that made Zara groan. And through it all, Min-jun kept Zara close, his hand on her lower back, his eyes full of love and pride and promise. Mrs. Park, he murmured as they slow danced, how does it feel? Perfect, she whispered back. Everything feels perfect. They left the reception in a shower of rose petals and well wishes, driving to a hotel overlooking the ocean for their wedding night. They'd leave for their honeymoon, 2 weeks in Hawaii, the following day. That night, making love as husband and wife, with their baby growing between them, Zara thought about how far she'd come. From invisible assistant to confident partner. From scared Iowa girl to brave Los Angeles woman. From secret crush to beloved wife. Thank you, she whispered against Min-jun's shoulder. For what? For coming to get me. That night. For not ignoring that text. For choosing me back. Thank you for being brave enough to send it. They fell asleep tangled together, the ocean waves providing soundtrack, the future stretching bright and infinite before them. Zara walked into Min-jun's office at Park Logistics, carrying 2 coffees and a radiant smile. At 25, she glowed with new motherhood. Her daughter, Amara Suni Park, was 3 months old and currently with Suni for the afternoon. Coffee delivery, she announced. Min-jun looked up from his desk and his whole face transformed. Even after 2 years together, he still looked at her like she was magic. You're supposed to be on maternity leave. I got bored. And I wanted to see my husband. She set the coffee down and perched on his desk. Also, your mother is teaching Amara Korean lullabies and I'm pretty sure our daughter's first words are going to be in Korean before English. Would that be so bad? No. It would be perfect. He pulled her into his lap, careful of her still healing body, and kissed her softly. How are you? Really? Exhausted. Happy. Overwhelmed. In love with our daughter and somehow still completely in love with you. Good. Because I'm completely in love with you too. They sat there for a moment, comfortable in shared silence. Through the office windows, Los Angeles sprawled in all its chaotic glory. Do you remember that night? Zara asked suddenly. When I drunk texted you? Every detail. The way my heart stopped when I saw your message. The drive across the city. Opening your door and seeing you in those pajamas with your wild curls, looking terrified and brave at once. I thought my life was over. I thought I'd ruined everything. You started everything. He tucked a curl behind her ear. You were so scared but you took the risk anyway. That's real courage, Zara. Not the absence of fear but acting despite it. I learned from you. We learned from each other. She rested her head on his shoulder, feeling utterly safe and completely seen. We need to pick Amara up in an hour, she said. Your mom wants to discuss baby names for child number 2. We have a 3-month-old. Try telling your mother that. He laughed and the sound filled Zara with joy. This life, complicated and beautiful and sometimes dangerous but always full of love, was everything she'd never known she wanted. What should we name the next one? Min-jun asked. If we have another daughter? Keisha. After the friend who pushed me to text you. And if it's a boy? Something strong. Something that bridges our cultures. James? After your grandfather and close enough to Korean names. I like that. They talked about the future. More children, expanding the business, maybe that house in Seoul they'd discussed. Everything felt possible. Later, driving home together with Amara cooing in her car seat, Min-jun reached over to take Zara's hand. Thank you, he said. For what? For texting me that night. For saying yes when I proposed. For marrying me despite knowing exactly what my world entails. For giving me our daughter. For being the bravest person I know. Thank you for coming to get me, she said. For always coming to get me. For seeing me when I was invisible. For loving all of me. Always, he promised. No matter what. No matter where. If you ever need me, I'll always come get you. At home, in their penthouse filled with baby toys and family photos and evidence of their blended lives, they stood on the balcony with Amara between them. The Los Angeles sunset painted the sky in shades of gold and pink. We did good, Zara said, watching their daughter's eyes track the colors. We did perfect. And as the city lights began to twinkle below them, Zara thought about drunk texts and courage and the moment everything changed. She thought about the life she'd built from one impulsive message sent at 11:47 p.m. on a Thursday night. She wouldn't change a single thing.